Let's try again. Assalamu alaikum. Let's try a third time. Assalamu alaikum. MashaAllah. Third time works. Okay. And alhamdulillah ta'ala nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ومن يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Indeed, all praise is due to Allah. We praise it. We seek refuge with Allah from the evil in our soul and from our sinful deeds. Those who are guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one can misguide them. Those who are not guided by Allah, there is no guide for them. I bear witness that there is no deity, there is no God worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his servant and messenger. O you who believe, revere Allah as he should be revered and die not except as Muslims. Amma ba'd. I'd like to welcome you to the Islamic Society of Leading American Muslims, an organization that was established to conduct da'wah, to invite people to learn about the true and peaceful message of Islam, and then to empower, educate, and nurture those people who come this way, whether they were born into a Muslim family, or they reverted, inverted, converted, however they came, however they got here, that we would create a nurturing environment for you, a non-castigating, non-indicting, non-critical environment. And it's really interesting because we started saying this in 2007, and I deem by Allah that I've said it every week at least once since 2007, and I saw another group on the east side of town saying something similar on their webpage this week. It sounded actually like my words. Alhamdulillah, that's good. Everybody needs competition, and I'm so thankful to Allah that other people are seeing the need to recreate that. Because all that is that people are exercising the mercy of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the prophet of mercy to all mankind. So alhamdulillah, it should have been going on long before that. So I'm really happy to see other groups using the same verbiage. I'm so excited. If I planted the seed for that, may Allah give me some rewards for what they're doing, inshallah. So I can't tell you how grateful I am. I wish more people would copy it. I wish more people would adopt the merciful stance. You know, in speaking of that, I pray that everybody, when they attend our events, adopts that spirit, that rule. Because someone came to one of our events recently, and they're non-Muslim, so they weren't dressed the way that we dressed. And they felt castigated because they received looks. And they were a child. And it broke my heart when they said, I will not be coming to the next one. So I want to make sure that you support our vision. That when a 13-year-old comes to visit us, greet them. And don't condemn them with your eyes because they're not dressed like a Muslim. Because when you do that, it may be on your back when you face God on the day of judgment because they didn't come to Islam. Because there are authentic hadiths that say that your neighbors will be hanging around your neck, screaming, why didn't you invite me to Islam? Why didn't you tell me about this message? And then think about those people that were face to face with you that you rejected by your castigation and your self-righteousness. So I beg you that if you attend an event of ISLAM, that you support and celebrate our vision to be nurturing, to accept people for where they are so that they can be somewhere else, inshallah. Who's here for the first time today? Brother, would you please, do you mind introducing yourself?
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Usman. I'm 16 years old.
I can't hear you, brother.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Usman and I am 16 years old.
Welcome, Usman. We're very happy to have you today. And I hope this will be the first of many times that you're with us. Okay, we love to have you. We want you to be a part of our family. We're a family, like Aretha Franklin used to sing. We're a family, but we really want to try to materialize that. We want to realize that. And we can't realize that when somebody comes here. And I'll share another story with you. A young lady did her shahada. She showed up one night at the masjid in hot pants and hijab. Well, the one thing she'd gotten was that she needed hijab on, but no one had told her about the rest. And the beauty of it was that people just gave her clothing. She didn't feel castigated. She didn't feel indicted. This is the hospital for the brokenhearted. And if people come here, people cannot come here as they are, and they will be driven away from Islam. So I beg you to look inside your heart, to recognize that you're in America. And every one of you is a da'i or a da'iyya. Every one of you are inviting people that are already Muslim to this way. And how you treat them is how they will feel invited. If I were to invite you to my house for dinner and I'd say, well, there's some saltine crackers on the table and peanut butter, get it yourself if you want something to eat, I don't think you'd feel very invited, would you? But if I say, come on in, ta'ala, you know, kayfa halak, what's up? Then you're going to feel more invited. What can I get you? Can I, you know? We want to be inviting. That's what dawah means, to invite. Do you feel invited if I look at you like you're an alien? Would anybody feel invited, I mean, if I look at you like you were an alien? I don't think so. Anybody else here for the first time? Okay, well, welcome again. I want to say that I'm so happy to see Royan. Mashallah, Royan just came back from Hajj. And
Welcome back.
I don't want to put him on the spot, but I am going to ask him if he might come back and be more prepared if he feels he needs to do that, to speak to us about his experience at Hajj maybe next week, because I wouldn't want to do to my brother what I wouldn't want done to myself. And I can tell you that when I came back from Hajj, every time I talked about it, I cried so much I couldn't talk for 3 weeks. And I had all of these appointments set up and I had to cancel them. Because literally I would open my mouth to talk about Hajj and I would just start sobbing. I don't know if that's been your experience. Yeah. So I don't want to subject him to that yet. But when you're ready, I would love for you to share with your experience, brother. And it's okay to cry in our class. I think you already know that. So, I also want to acknowledge 13 people from our group walked yesterday in the domestic violence awareness walk that we do annually. As many of you know, I am the vice chair of the Orange County Domestic Violence Task Force, and domestic violence is my baby. I'm advocating against it. Let me clarify that. And so I really want to thank from the bottom of my heart the 13 people. And you know, I was so touched by my nieces and nephews that came yesterday. Would you guys stand up? Summer and you, Muhammad, yes, alhamdulillah. Danya, they all walked with us yesterday. I see you're wearing a shirt. All right, there's no excuse for abuse. I like that. Represent. Pardon?
They were wearing purple.
Purple, yes. Exactly.
I saw it yesterday.
Did you see it on TV?
Yeah.
Okay, mashallah, alhamdulillah.
Do you have some place to live for people who are in domestic violence?
Yes.
Only 1 week?
Well, if they are victims of domestic violence, we usually refer them to Harbor House, which is the only, listen to what I'm saying, folks, the only certified domestic violence shelter in the state of Florida. No one can say that they are a domestic violence shelter unless they fit the criterion that that organization does. You can say that you are a transitional housing. but you cannot say you're a domestic violence shelter. If I buy a house and let women stay there that are struggling, I cannot call that a domestic violence shelter unless I meet the criterion of AIM.
They say Harbor Field, Harbor.
Yes. They say
Harbor,
Harbor House.
Harbor House and telephone number.
Yes, it's an 800 number, yes. Okay.
It was
So-
not 800, 6666.
Yeah, that's an 800 number that ends in 6666, yes.
How much was that? 407, what?
I don't have the number right now. But what we will do, inshallah, is if you need that number, contact us and we will give it to you. Today what I'd like to do, though, is I would like to move into the presentation that is on the website for Harbor House. United in Spirit Preaching, I was one of the first people to participate in that. And that message is on the website. And that is the message that I've been requested to give today. I was asked by a number of my students to share the message of what Islam has to say about domestic violence. I'd like to get through this today, if I can. So if you would, if you have a question specific to that, if I'm going to answer it, I'm going to tell you I'll answer it later in the slides. If not, if you'll hold the question or write it down, I'll answer them next week. This is the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I think it's so important that we address this. It is an issue that's going on in our community. It's an issue that we sweep under the rug, and we've swept it under the rug so much that the rug is on the ceiling now and it's falling down on top of people. And I can tell you that Sister Fatima works in the community, and every single week she gets calls about domestic violence. I don't know why I have a graduate certificate in marriage and family, and I don't know why masjids will not refer people to me for help. Now let me say this to you, and this is important for you to get it. If you're in a domestic violence situation, until that is worked on, you do not go into therapy with your abuser. That doesn't work. And anger management doesn't work for batterers. It only makes them more angry. So we now know that Batterers Intervention Program, and I'm talking about a 26-week intensive program. I'm not talking about a little pansy program where you go and say, yeah, I beat my wife a few times and put her in the hospital and broke her face, and then you're off the hook. I'm talking about where you confront it and you deal with the fact that you have been an abuser, which is contrary to Islam. In my work in this field over the years, my wife and I both have dealt with people who have consistently raped their wives, consistently beat up their wives, hospitalized their wives, and in a few events we worked with tiny little women that have beat the crap out of their husbands. Yeah, I was amazed myself.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, it's not great in accordance to the Quran and the Sunnah. So let's begin here by looking at Surah 30, and let's pray that our attitudes will be adjusted according to what you see today. That if your aqidah, if your understanding is not according to what you see today, that inshallah Allah will shine a light in your heart and address the way that you think. Because honestly, folks, this is a huge issue. And Avila, who is a mental health counselor and a sister to me that I love dearly and admire for what she's doing, is going to pass out a handout. I want you to read these stats. And this is only the reported stats, but I asked her not to hand it out until afterwards because I know what will happen. I'll be teaching and you'll be playing with this piece of paper. Because that's what happens when you give a handout before, right, teachers? Right. So let's look at this verse in Surah Ar-Rum and verse 21. And among his signs, Allah's signs, this word mu'ajiza, miracles, is that Allah created for you mates from among yourselves that you may dwell in tranquility with them, and He has put between you love and mercy. Surely in this are signs for those who reflect. Now, we will talk about this love, this rahmah, this wudda, this muwadda. And forgive me if my Arabic is not perfect. Sister Fatima, I beg you to correct me later on anything I say that's wrong. But the mawaddah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about is a mawaddah that is a category all to itself. It is a yearning, pining love that you have for your partner. Now, far too often, I see people that their akida is flawed and they say, well, marriage is just a contract and we have this arrangement. She does this and I do this and we cohabit together. That is not what Allah prescribed. Nobody finds repose in that. Nobody finds tranquility in that. And nobody finds any comfort in that. That's just like any other business arrangement. But this is a very special thing. This is a miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created as a sign for us. Now, the word in Arabic that we also see is sakina or sakanat, which is the very thing that we experience when we get to paradise. If your marriage is based on the tenets of Islam, it will be like paradise. And if it is not, it will be like hell. But it's supposed to be based on the scriptures and based on the guidance of Quran and Sunnah. You're supposed to experience tranquility. The sakina that we will experience when we get to paradise is that for 3 days we will say nothing but a salam alaikum. Can you imagine being so at peace that for 3 days, salam alaikum, salam alaikum, salam alaikum, peace and blessings be upon you, peace and blessings be upon you. Some of us don't experience peace and blessings be upon you for 1 hour in our marriage today. Now I'm just going to keep it for rizzle for stizzle. I'm not going to break any shops today. I'm going to tell you what I see in practice. Now I'm going to give you the text, but I'm also going to talk about the context of what I witness on a daily basis. And it is so heartbreaking for me. Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated the status of women, and since 85% right now reported are victims are women, it absolutely breaks my heart that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emancipated women, and we are practicing jahl, we are practicing ignorance in the way that we treat our women. So with our spouse, we are supposed to find repose with them. What is repose? Comfort, rest. Rest. Sometimes we aren't rested by the time our spouse says good morning to us. We're in turmoil. Islam clearly prohibits all forms of oppression and emphasizes the importance of justice among all people, especially the family. It begins at home. Now, it's really amazing to me that people have no trouble using this or saying this when it comes to paying zakat. They say, well, brother, I pay my zakat to my family, and that's permissible. No problem with that. But then they tend to twist it when it comes to treating your family with respect. That ceases to happen anymore. Surah 5 and verse 8 reminds Muslims about the importance of justice. O you who believe, imams, believers, Muslims, mu'min, be steadfast for Allah, bearing witness by justice, and do not let hatred, anger, or any people prevent you from being just, whether they give more money to the masjid than other people or whatever else they do. Judge fairly. This is close to God consciousness or taqwa. So be conscious of God. Allah is all-knowing. In certain masajids, unfortunately, many of the batterers sit on the front rows. And they give sufficient money that the masajids choose not to address these issues. I'm just going to tell you like it is. The last sermon that I did in this masjid was on domestic violence. Now, it might just be a coincidence. Please don't run away and say, oh, Imam Said said so-and-so. Please listen to what I'm saying. The last sermon that I did in this masjid, the last khutbah, was about domestic violence. I have not been invited back. Now that might just be a coincidence, but I just find it interesting, nonetheless.
But you go again.
Oh, I keep going, absolutely. The Quran also commands the believers to stand out firmly for justice as witnesses to God. Now, it's a pretty important event when you are a witness. When you are a witness in court, what do you have to do? You get sworn in, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now here we're talking about being a witness to Allah. Standing before your Creator. The Quran commands the believers to stand out firmly for justice as witnesses to Allah, even as against yourselves. How many of us can easily say, I did something wrong, I'm sorry? MashaAllah. How many of us have a little difficulty with that? Let me see your hands.
I saw you looking over your hand.
No, I wasn't, I promise. I'm just looking because I love you so much. Because I'm a wedded.
I don't understand the question.
My question is, how many people here have a hard time saying, I was wrong? I made a mistake.
If I do something wrong, I will say I'm wrong.
So then that, you don't have a hard time. The majority of people that I meet, particularly when they come in for marriage counseling, they have a real difficulty saying, well, I was wrong. I'm amazed this class is far exceptional to most people I deal with in therapy, because most people I deal with are in denial and they have a hard time believing they've ever done anything wrong.
Yeah, I know that.
So-
They are very cruel people.
The Quran
I hate that.
commands the believers to stand out firmly for justice as witnesses to God, even as against yourselves. How hard is it for you to talk about your issues? People are very quiet today. Ooh, this is really confrontational, isn't it?
Can you repeat the question?
How hard is it for you to talk about your issues?
Hard.
Difficult.
See, now it's real easy for a spouse to point their finger at the other one and say, you. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we call that criticism. But how hard is it for to say, I do this and I do that that doesn't please Allah, and I do this and I do this that doesn't please my wife, and I do that that doesn't please my wife, and I do this that doesn't please me. We'll say, oh no, that's not really how it is. I'm not like that. And that's called denial. But let's look at what Allah has commanded us to do. As witnesses to Allah, even against yourselves or your parents. Now we have a big problem in this ummah. And some of you are going to be ticked with me today, and that's okay. I don't mind, because I'm witnessing for Allah. I don't mind if you're upset with me. But some people, even if their parents are against the Quran, if their parents do something contrary to what Allah says, they say, no, my mother's the footstool of paradise. I got a witness for her. Not for Allah. I got a witness for my mama. Now, is that what the Quran says?
No.
Now, please, if I'm wrong, y'all meet me up here, line up after class to tell me, because people are always eager to do that. But have your proofs, because I've got mine. Even as against yourselves or your parents or your kin, or whether it be against the rich or the poor. For Allah can protect you both. You see, we're not standing up against the rich sometimes because we're worried about our project. We're not standing up against the rich sometimes because then we might not get invited to that wedding. So whose approval are we looking for? Allah's or man's? Let's look at the verse in Surah 4, verse 135. O ye who believe, be steadfast in justice, witnesses for Allah, even if it be against yourself, parents, or relatives. Now I want to stop a minute here, because every time just about I get a Muslim couple in my office, they say, well brother, The Quran says you're supposed to bring a mutual arbitrator between my family and your family. I said, I'm going to say, have you got one of those? Somebody that can be mutual? And they say, well, we tried it. I said, that's the problem. You tried it. Because when you try, you ain't doing it. Not many people are at the state of piety that they can actually be neutral anymore. Because I can tell you right now, it's real hard for me if you come and criticize my daughters or my son. Don't worry about that. And I believe that most of you, if you're honest, will tell me the same thing. You can talk about me, but don't talk about my children. How many people relate to that? So you've got to be able to rise above that in order to implement this verse. And that's not happening, folks. I'm telling you. Most of the time, when people have tried this, they've tried it, they weren't a mutual person, and the people were actually had their claws out for the other person. That's what I've seen. So if you've got that kind of pious people in your family, mashallah, I'd like you to introduce them to me. Maybe I can learn something from them. And I'm serious. I'm not being sarcastic. I may sound that way, but that is not my intention. I am as genuine as I can be. If you've got people in your family that can be neutral arbiters, fair and just, standing out as witnesses for Allah against that what is correct according to Quran, and I think your opinion of that might change by the time this lecture is over today. Whether they are rich or poor, for Allah is the protector of both. So do not follow your desires. Now when these people start espousing their opinions, what are they following?
Ego.
Their ego and their desires, their nafus. Say, well, the way I see it is you didn't give him the respect he was due. After all he did for you, you didn't do so and so. But did he do it for you or did he do it for Allah? I'm all of a sudden confused. Is he the shepherd? Is he the imam? Or is this a buyback arrangement? I believe it's called quid pro quo.
Quick pro quo.
Have we got it right? Okay, yeah. Tit for tat. So do not follow your desires, lest you deviate from God's way. If you distort the truth, God is aware of what you do. I've seen a whole lot of truth distorted in my office. Islam places a high value on marriage and families and provides teachings on how to maintain healthy and peaceful families. An Islamic marriage is one grounded in mercy and love, where each spouse can find tranquility. The Quran says in Surah 2, verse 187, they are your garment and you are their garment.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you for a moment, what does a garment provide for you? Protection,
Love.
cover.
Love.
Who writes nicely on the board?
I do.
Would you like to come and write for me then? Because my writing, you can't read it when it gets cold. Comfort, protection, what else?
Passion.
Love.
Passion. Garments provide passion. Oh, fashion. Okay. All right. Okay, Mason. Sorry. All right. Here, let me hear it. What does a garment provide for you?
Love.
The garment provides love. Love? So your clothes give you love?
Yes.
Okay, love. Warm. Okay. Privacy. Privacy and modesty, Mason.
Yes, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Faster.
What else does a garment provide? Let me ask you this. If I said to any man in here, now we're keeping with the sunnah, would you mind, I'm going to use Bassem, if he doesn't mind, because he doesn't. Bassem, would you mind taking your shirt off?
Damn right.
How would you feel, brother?
Too good, I guess.
Not too good? You'd feel exposed, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
All right. Why would it bother you to take your shirt off?
Modesty.
Sorry. Not something I'm don't. I normally walk around with a shirt on.
But I mean in the class. I ask this question when people come in my office. How would you feel if I asked you to take your shirt off?
Shameful, violated.
Shameful, violated. Yes, brother.
Kafir. Expose.
Expo-
Kafir.
Coverage.
you feel uncovered. Okay. I want you to look at these things and let's talk about a garment a little bit more. When you get, you don't need to stay anymore. Thank you, Maysoon. Let's give Maysoon a hand. When you get hot, what kind of garment do you want? A light garment. So when you get angry, that's called hot, right? We say, oh, it got a little heated. Things got a little heated in here. Then you want a garment that cools you. And then when you're cold and you're like, she thinks she can get it. I'll show her. I'm cold now, right? What kind of garment do I need? I need somebody to say, you look like things aren't working for you today. Can we talk? And you know that love just runs all down you. Oh God, it's like a new garment already. Look at this beautiful example. Now let me tell you, I don't want to take, one reason I wouldn't want to take my shirt off, I wouldn't want to show all the men off and just that's my 8-pack and my pants. Because I mean, it's amazing body. And I'm totally kidding, because I'm cut from here to as far as you can go. I mean, I look like a butcher block. I don't want anybody to see that. I don't want anybody to see my flaws. I don't want anybody to see the moles on my body. Garments cover my flaws. As spouses, we cover each other's flaws.
Yes. वो चली भी आओ.
Yes. And we covered the jelly. They are your garments, and you are their garments. When abuse is occurring, the entire premise on which that family has been formed is shaken or destroyed. Let me ask you this. If a child sees a spouse hit another spouse, what do you think goes on inside of that child?
Emotionally upset.
Emotional disturbance. There is so much empirical data on children who have been the victims of domestic violence in their household. They do poorer in school. They are more likely to drop out of school. They're more likely to be in prison. They are more likely to rape, and the list goes on.
Yes.
This is all proven.
They did the research.
Yes. There is no teaching in the Quran that encourages people to stay in a relationship in which they are being mistreated, intimidated, threatened, or oppressed in any way. Now, one of the things that we've got to get beyond, and I'm going to address the elephant in the room. People come to me and they say, in my culture, divorce is not a possibility. So then I have to then, as a therapist, say, well, wait a minute, I need to teach you your Akida is flawed. Because oppression in Al-Kabair, the science of the great sins, is one of the greatest sins. How many people have been told, I don't want you to answer this, this is too confrontational, I'm uncovering you, forgive me. But many people in this room have been told, in our culture, you don't get a divorce. If he's paying your bills, you stay with him. You've got a good husband. Doesn't matter if he breaks your faith, but if he's paying your bills, you stay with him. If he stalks you, and he punishes you, and he has affairs, as long as he pays your bills, you stay with him. Now I'm going to tell you something, folks. Everything I'm sharing with you, I have experienced. When I was in North Carolina, I was doing volunteer chaplaincy at a hospital. And I got called to the hospital because a young lady there could not speak English. Her husband had given her sexually transmitted diseases. And I got there and they told me what was going on. And I don't speak Arabic. Now I had to find an Arab that I could trust, that I felt would not go out and tell this in the community and cause this woman to lose all the respect and dignity that she deserved.
We can call it woman.
Because unfortunately, in this community, the women are the one that punish because there is no gender equality. And this is haram. Males can absolutely go out and have sex in this community and they will not be looked down upon the way that women will be. And this is haram. This is an injustice. Because it is just as haram for a male to do it as it is a female to do it.
I will do
But
it.
there is an indifference in inequality and the way that women, there's a gender inequality that goes on that is haram. And I'm going to confront it.
You do the 100 lashes on his back.
Okay, let's don't go there right now, okay? Does everybody agree with what I'm saying?
Yes.
Thank you. Are you going to change it? Are you going to take a stand when you see it and correct it? Or are you going to cower down and say, well, I'm just pretend I didn't see that. And I'll walk away. It will not change until you change it. But a woman in this community, if something happens to her that is not her fault, she will be castigated and unmarriageable. But if something happens to a man in this community, it's like it didn't happen. If you're a witness before God to what I'm talking about, raise your hand.